Today we're going to be checking out this PlayStation 5 Pro tech presentation hosted by Mark Cerny. I seen this notification pop up on my phone when I was at work. I guess technically yesterday, but for me it's kind of still the same day blending together. I just finished recording my Wukong ending video. Anyways, if you enjoyed the vibes, make sure you subscribe. I really do appreciate it, as it does help thrust the channel, and the algorithm helps me grow, and it may help you out as well, as I try to do giveaways and give back to my community when and wherever I can. Just about 2 weeks ago, I did a Sparking Zero Deluxe Edition giveaway, and I did that live. You can find the live stream on the channel. Without further ado, I do want to look into the PS5 Pro, because this is something I've actually been very interested in, as I am a PC gamer as well as a console gamer, and I've owned every PlayStation since the one. And I've owned multiple different iterations of PlayStation Slims for the 2, 3, whatever the case may be, PSP. I didn't get the PS Vita, but it's not just like I'm a PlayStation fanboy, even though my background over here that you really can't see might say otherwise. I just am a huge fan of tech in general. Like, I've had Xboxes as well. That's something I've grew up with. I grew up with both consoles. I grew up with PCs and stuff. Had to sell things when things got hard in my family, which was pretty often. But I say that to say I'm not really one side versus the other, but I do find value in the PS5 Pro, and I look at things very objectively. I did get a couple of things spoiled for me before we jump into this. That is the price being $700 or $699 or something like that. Excuse me. And the fact that it's going to have like some kind of upscaling technology within it. That's really the main selling point. However, I also seen somewhere that the performance alone in the GPU that they're using is 45 or 43% higher than what we have with the base PS5 and the PS5 Slims. What that tells me is that this is probably the equivalent to maybe a 4080, if not a 4070 Ti, but I'm really banking it on it being like a 4080, but not quite a 4090 experience. So to me, I've been seeing a lot of discourse and a lot of hate about it being around the $700 range. But you gotta kind of understand, from a console's perspective, yes, that might seem very high, but from a technological perspective, Sony is spending hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands on producing these, not just from like putting them out, but literally coming up with the design and then coming up with new technology. Because when things get put inside of consoles, it's not necessarily the same stuff that you find on the market. A lot of the things are custom made and require lots of R&D, which is research and development. So that's why certain things that are priced the way they are for a certain reason. I know a lot of people just love to jump on the Sony hate and bandwagon and be like, well, they're just being greedy, they have this thing and this thing, and I don't think that's like entirely accurate, considering Sony is a business. Yes, they want to make money and they are going to upcharge you so they can make a profit off of this stuff. But when it comes to the consoles themselves, almost every time ever, Sony is making is having a net loss off of every single console that's sold and device in general that's sold, because they make most of their money from first party contracts, first party games. Think about Naughty Dog or Santa Monica Studios, or I don't know, anybody that they have under their wing. When they put out video games and they put out expansions, and then you see DLCs and all these other digital games come to Sony's storefront, they're making a cut off of that, and that is how PlayStation in Sony's division for gaming stays alive. That's really their main selling point, is those first party games. However, I do know that the big conversation has always been PS5 hardly has any games. Even with it not having a lot of first party games, they do still have tons of contracts in the mix that allow them to net good profit. That's why they're still making a pretty big profit, and they haven't backed down on the pricing of things. So to me, I don't think the $700 price range is too outlandish, considering it's not marketed for the common consumer. That's not what the pro model of anything. Same reason Apple doesn't have the pro models of their phones cheaper. Like, it's not marketed to be for the common average consumer. Now, I did see somewhere that I don't have the thing here. This has 2 million views or some 87,000 likes here, and I don't have the attachment or here that allows me to see the dislikes, but people have been saying that it's been basically double the dislikes that there are in the like section. I don't know how accurate that actually is, because those plugins are always hit or miss. But again, I don't own one, I don't have one, I've never used one, so that's something that you could probably let me know and inform me about in the comments below. I know I'm kind of getting long-winded here. I'm just saying that objectively looking at it, we should probably take a step back before just jumping on this hate bandwagon. And of course, I'm saying that before watching this technical showcase. They might show me something and I actually just flip sides and I'm like, oh, okay, no, this isn't justified and this isn't really an upgrade. But based off of the fact that it's a 45% increase in performance in the GPU, CPU, whatever, they changed the whole thing up. 45% is a massive increase. So that's why I'm saying, like, this, the base PS5 is basically a mid-grade PC in a sense, if we're gonna compare it to something of that nature. I'd say the base PS5 is like a early 30 series card, maybe. And if you're talking about 45% increase, then it's easily going to be mid to top grade of the 40 series card. So by the time PS6 comes out, I'm hoping that it's going to be powerful enough to have 4090 capabilities. But again, you guys are going to complain when they're selling it at $1,000, and I get it, and it's a lot of money. However, there's also the fact of inflation and all this other stuff. But you know, again, I get it, there's a certain price point that people are constantly wanting to pay for consoles versus structured and built out PCs. And the common argument is, well, PCs can do all these other things, it's much more than just a gaming station. But I would also adverse and again flip that back on you and saying that PCs aren't as optimized as gaming stations are and consoles are, because there are special technology created specifically just for the console, and they have to do this R&D to make it work, and then they give out these dev kits. There's no dev kit for a PC. That's not a thing. You know, there might be a testing kit for a new graphics card and stuff, but as for like an entire PC build, there's no dev kit for that. There's no learning and development time with that. There are things that people put out and developers put out, like Nvidia and manufacturers put out, that can help with certain tools and AI and frame gen and all that, but there's like no real testing kit on that the same way that there is for consoles, to my knowledge. Anyways, that's enough talking. Again, if you enjoy the vibes, make sure you slide subscribe. I like to have a conversation around here. If you are new, let's have a conversation, let's talk about it, and let me know what your thoughts are on the PS5. I'm sorry if I'm a little weak and low on energy, because, you know, a lot of people that are regulars on the channel know that I typically have a lot of higher energy, but I am recording this at like 12:53 a.m. So it's like the break of dawn in the morning, and I'm very tired after recording for about 5 hours, basically coming off of a 10-hour shift. So I just had no time to rest. So my voice is a little sore right now. Not really sore, but like it's weak. My energy is weak. And I just really want to just take all this in, and I'll probably have conversation in it as well. Okay?
Hi, I'm Mark Cerny.
Mark Cerny.
To be here to talk about the newest addition to our console lineup, PlayStation 5 Pro, and how it advances gaming.
I am excited. I mean, I really do love technology.
Just a minute to look at what we put in the original PlayStation 5 and how it delivers an exceptional gaming experience.
Okay, that's good. A comparison.
When PS5 debuted in 2020,
it was in a rough
to the table.
It was a rough market.
2 CPU cores formed the brains of PlayStation 5. And
it was a very rough place. Hopefully scalpers don't take this all down. Hopefully Sony has learned from this stuff.
120 frames a second. PS5 has a powerful RDNA 2 GPU, which can render
RDNA 2 GPU
to fantastic worlds with vast panoramas to explore.
Okay.
Ray tracing allows for dramatic visual improvements, including reflections off of water or glass.
If you're playing in quality mode, but that's going to be quality mode at 30 FPS. I'm hoping that our quality modes can now be around 60. And if performance, it would be always 120. That'd be great, especially since I'm hearing that we're getting upscaling technology.
Ultra fast transitions between game worlds.
Yep, SSD.
And data streaming rates so high that traversal speeds are essentially unlimited.
God damn, bro. I remember first time playing this. That was a movie.
Audio tech brings an unparalleled sense of immersion to the sound of
Demon
games.
Souls. I just put out a video somewhere. I have it linked right here about that. I'm like revisiting it.
Where they are.
Okay, they're showing off their first party stuff.
Finally, the DualSense controller has haptics that let you feel through your hands what your character is experiencing.
I still think the DualSense controller is probably the best thing to come out of this generation.
It's wonderful to see such variety and richness of
Much different than the DualShock.
Creators have made amazing use of the hardware capabilities, but when I talk
I've been hearing that we're going to get a second DualSense as well.
Graphics performance. The dreams of the
It would be cool if the
developers
PS5 Pro
really
shipped
supported
with
at
a
60 frames per second,
controller
and that
Pro
leads to an
controller.
aspect of modern gaming that we're all familiar with: graphics modes. It can be a
Fidelity,
difficult
performance.
choice for players.
Yeah.
Fidelity modes emphasize the visuals, typically through higher resolution rendering. These modes might also have enhanced detail or use more ray tracing.
I've never played a game in fidelity
The
mode.
games only run at 30 frames per second. The visuals can be choppier and the controls less responsive. Performance modes emphasize frame rate and interactivity, typically choosing
Always
to run at
performance.
60 frames per second.
I've always done performance every time.
Mainly by reducing the graphical detail until those
Yeah, you
frame
can see
rates
the
can be
difference.
achieved. When asked to decide on
But, you know, it's like-
players are choosing performance about 3/4 of the time.
Yeah.
Removing that decision, or at least narrowing that divide, is one of the key targets for PlayStation 5 Pro.
Good.
We want to give players the graphics that the game creators aspire to, at the high frame rates that players typically prefer. To do that, PS5 Pro substantially improves over PlayStation 5 in 3 ways.
Okay.
Here's what we call the Big 3.
Okay,
First,
big as
we
the
made
what?
The GPU much larger and increased the speed of the memory it uses. The result is rendering
Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, whoa, no, 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 no. We're talking way bigger now. Hold on, go back.
The Big 3.
We're talking way
First,
bigger
we
numbers
made
than
the
I thought.
GPU much
Compute units is 67% faster and better? What?
larger and increased
I don't think y'all understand. When you're talking about percentages, that is freaking
the
nuts.
speed of the memory it uses.
28% faster RAM. Okay. That, you know, they're probably using 6th gen stuff in here. Makes sense.
The result is
Larger
rendering that's
GPU.
up to 45% faster.
So, I did get that
Second,
information
we
right.
made major
45%.
upgrades to the ray tracing, taking a streamlined.
Is
and
that from the
accelerated
PS5 Pro?
made major upgrades to the ray tracing.
That shit
taking
looks
a
beautiful.
streamlined and accelerated approach that allows calculation of the rays at double or even triple the speeds of PlayStation 5.
That's great.
And
Are they
finally,
gonna
we added
run
custom
well like
hardware
that?
for
Like how,
machine learning,
you know,
and an AI library
Marvel
called
Spider-Man 2 did.
PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR for short.
PSSR.
PSSR analyzes the game images pixel by PSSR for AI.
PlayStation Spectral
PSSR
Super Resolution. So
analyzes
this
the game
is
images pixel by pixel and can add an extraordinary amount of detail,
okay.
which boosts the effective resolution of the games.
Heard
Game
you.
creators are adding PS5 Pro support to
So
new
that's
and
basically
existing
the same
titles. And with the
thing
big
that we have with
three, the
Nvidia.
results can be pretty amazing.
Maybe.
With graphics showing something like fidelity levels of detail, but at double the frame rate. Here's The Last of Us Part 2 running on PS5 Pro.
That shit
It
looks
has huge amounts of detail
gorgeous,
and targets
bro.
a super smooth 60 frames per second. Let's compare this to the fidelity mode on PS5, which is only running at 30 frames per second and is therefore.
You know, you can tell the smoothness. Although it's kind of
goal of delivering
bro. I always hate these comparison videos on YouTube because it's just difficult to look at them when the video that I'm watching is 60 frames. The video that I'm watching is 60 frames, which means that no matter what I do, it's still going to come off as 60 frames. Now you can tell the difference when things are initially internally running at 30 frames versus 60 frames. You can tell the difference. but it's hard on a YouTube video. So if people are like hating on the two and like, you know, being like, oh, well, they don't look that different, take a step back. Remind yourself you're watching this on a computer screen or a phone screen that is not going to translate those two things very accurately. They're just not, okay?
Almost fidelity-like graphics at performance frame rate.
Hold on.
This goal of delivering almost fidelity-like graphics at performance frame rate has been achieved for
Fidelity-like? No, it looks just as good, if not better.
And Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, we can see that PS5 Pro is close to doubling the power of PlayStation 5.
It is. It's smoother. That is the one sure way you can tell a higher frame rate internally is the smoothness of it.
Both of which target 60 frames per second.
Say that one more time.
What we see here
performance.
is a difference in detail. PS5 Pro is much sharper and crisper than PS5.
That's true. You can see that.
This, my
very clearly
is the
see that.
scene from Ratchet & Clank. Distant details are much clearer. And here we can see Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is noticeably higher resolution throughout the scene.
A lot better. The shadowing. Hold on, no, the Spider-Man one was actually way more noticeable. The shadowing, the cars, the ray tracing looks a little bit like shinier. Like it just looks a little, I guess, the extra detail. Like I can tell the difference on PS5 Pro.
Procedural cars.
But that's the thing, they're showing this stuff off from their first party games. It's going to take not only first party games, but excuse me, other developers to incorporate these tools to have them readily available for players. There's so many games out there that could benefit from, or imagine playing Fallout 4 or maybe the next Fallout game with these types of graphics, or Starfield comes out and it gets pushed. Starfield's a terrible example because how the game is. Cyberpunk, that'd be great. If Cyberpunk can get a PS5 Pro upgrade, even though it's not a first-party game, but CDPR is a perfect example of a studio that is willing to take that extra step, even past the extra steps they've already taken, to make sure their game looks as beautiful as they want it to look, and better. So for them to give us that PC-like quality and fidelity that most people are able to get on these higher end systems while using frame gen like DLSSR that Nvidia has, except it's PSSR here. I think that's massive. But we need companies to start doing that more. The same way that I feel like there are not enough video games out there that are taking full effect of the haptic controller. Like Call of Duty, of course, they got the budget to do that, but there's so many other games out there that I feel would benefit from it, like just holding down your axe in God of War. You can feel that. That felt good. I want that in other action RPGs. I want that to be translated in games, even as simple as Persona. Like, that would be cool. I don't know if I'm just talking on my ass here, but I do truly feel like I'm articulating myself properly now, and well enough that you kind of understand what I'm saying. These are really good and these are cool, but it's so niche down at the moment because it's really limited to the extra support that Sony gives their first party titles and their studios, as well as really niche down to very talented groups of teams out there that just know how to push things the right way in this market, such as CDPR. We've seen them do amazing things and take these incredible leaps with Cyberpunk and how they visually changed how it looked from launch to now. With these quote unquote PS5 upgrades and stuff, right? Is there going to be a PS5 Pro upgrade?
Pro, we can see increased sharpness to the graphics or smoother and more responsive gameplay.
Yeah.
This is the big three showing their value. As you've been seeing, machine learning via the PSSR library is being used quite broadly to add pixel detail and boost frame rate.
So can this be used? Is PSSR going to be able to be used on every game? Is this an enabled thing for everything.
There are game engines. The increase in raw GPU power is being especially effective for Horizon Forbidden West. Apart from the detail boost, that extra graphics power.
I don't know how many people are still playing for Horizon Forbidden West, but this shit looks amazing. Holy shit, those wings look crazy crisp.
As well as to the hair and the skin in cinematics.
Damn.
Open up, guys. Jor's orders.
They do look good. It's like hyper realistic in a sense.
Well, particularly when the games are focused on higher frame rates. The faster hardware in PS5 Pro can make a real difference. Allowing Gran Turismo 7 to add ray-traced reflections between the cars and gameplay.
I don't think Gran Turismo is like the best example. It's weird because like racing games typically always look absolutely stunning. I don't like the art style that they went for. It's supposed to be hyper realistic, but there are parts of this that just don't look good. I don't think using this was beneficial to their showcase.
Boosting ray tracing is also delivering big wins for Hogwarts Legacy.
Ooh!
Allowing not only for better
look at that floor and the
surfaces,
whoa,
but also for further realism in the casting of shadows. I hope you've enjoyed this run-through of the technology behind PlayStation 5 Pro. Simply put, it's the most powerful console we've ever built, and a worthy addition to the PS5.
Nah, Hogwarts look different like that.
You a quick look at a number of games running on the new console.
Please. Okay. Well, I'll let you know right now, they're playing some really loud music. So if the music seems to be paused or I have the music really low in post, like as I edit this, that is why. It's because I'm not trying to be copyrighted. Damn, that shit looks good. Damn, that shit looks good. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Horizon Forbidden West. Part 1, Part 2. No, that's Part 2. I imagine it'll also be on Part 1. Demon Souls, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I would like to see things that aren't first-party titles, though. Was that Silent Hill 2 that's not out yet? Or is that Alan Wake 2? I didn't play Alan Wake 2. And for the people that watch my channel consistently, I know I didn't finish the first game. I stopped at like part 3, chapter 3 or 4 on my channel. I'm sorry. Okay, that's the upcoming game. Shadows. Again. Ubisoft just has to learn how to make their games look much better. This visually does not look like a good shot. It's not a good shot. It's just not. And by the way, I do want to do more styles like videos in this format of me breaking down things. I just, it's whenever I'm feeling up to it. The lighting behind him looks great. I don't think the cards. Okay, that looks really real. Whew. Spider-Man 2 PS2. I mean, Spider-Man 2. This is the most. I think Hogwarts benefited the most. I haven't seen Hogwarts look this good ever. The fuck was that? That shit look good. Is that Stellar Blade? I didn't play Stellar Blade. I only played the demo. I mean, it's got a good selection of games out right now that looks good. Okay, this was another thing that I seen. Available November 7th. That's very soon. That's next month. And no, that's 2 months from now. Next month is October. It looks like the PS5 Slim, but that's fine. And my PS4 Pro down here, and that essentially looked like a version of the PS5. Excuse me, the slim version of PS4 with another extra notch in there. I assume this would be much smaller than the OG PS5 that I have. I'm a little sentimental with the OG PS5. It looks cool to me. You know, it's alien-like. I feel like I want to do some type of giveaway for my OG PS5, but at the same time, I might just keep it. I don't know. Anyways, this is something I've also seen a large amount of discourse on, is the vertical stand being sold separately. The vertical stand alone is like $35-40, right? And then if you want a disc drive version of this, you have to buy that for an additional $90 or $80 or something like that. That's actually bizarre. So the console itself, they're saying with tax is $699.99. I don't know if that's actually true for the including tax, unless that means it's just for the yen. Which, god damn, Japanese money's been going downhill. Excuse me, I'm sorry once again. Yeah, it's interesting. I think the price point is pretty accurate considering the base PS5 came with came at $500 and the PS5 Slim was $400. And then if this is going to be a Pro model, it should theoretically it should be only $100 more, maybe $150 more than the base PS5. If we're going traditionally from how they've priced it beforehand. Granted, this is probably the biggest leap within the same generation that we've gotten hardware wise. PS5 Pro to the PS5 is not the same as the PS4 Pro was to the PS4. Like the graphical and just technological gaps between those two and within the same generation was much smaller with the PS4 than it is with the PS5 Pro to the PS5. So in one end, I understand why, and I could see the justification why pricing it at basically $700, which is $200 more than the base PS5, is because they had to put a lot of money in R&D and develop the technology for PSRR or PSSR, or they could have really realistically just partnered with NVIDIA. But I think PlayStation's run off of AMD's processing and GPUs. But anyways, I digress. That's just me looking at the PS5 Pro tech presentation, and I'm gonna let's see if there's anything else at the end here. I'm dragging. I don't think so. Yeah, no, there's nothing else at the end here. It's pretty nuts. I get it. The price point is a lot. I'm probably still gonna get it though. It's gonna make a lot of the games that we play regularly look better, run better, just feel that much better. One more thing before I excuse me one more time. One more thing before I sign off here. Something else to consider is I have some experience in this due to the fact that I play some fighting games in my own time. Is when you're playing on two separate platforms, such as the PS4 and versus somebody playing on PS5, it has to limit the frame rate to a certain frame anyways. Like it will limit it to 30 because the PS4 and PS4 Pros isn't really touching past 30. You might be able to get your PS4 Pro to 40 or pushing 45. Like it's really rare to do that in certain games. But is there going to, my question, I say that because I have a question like, are there going to be caps for the PS4 Pro playing against people on just the PS5? Even though it's within the same family and generation, it is bound to be like leaps higher just because of PSSR alone. If one console doesn't have PSSR and the other does have PSSR, that's going to make a huge difference between like a COD game with somebody playing at 120 FPS and the other person barely peaking at like 59, 60. You're just able to react to things as you get information quicker, and you're able to just smoothly play the game better. So I don't know how this is going to affect multiplayer games, especially since, and Sony might want to answer that question very soon, because it might become a real concern, considering that this generation Sony has been very focused on producing first party multiplayer games. They tried Concord, that was a massive fail. And they've tried Helldivers, massive, you know, it was doing good, but they have fallen off because Sony made a massive failure, and in terms of future moves. You know, they killed a lot of buzz and instead enshrouded it with a lot of negativity and hate because of the stuff that they decided to do. Although, yeah, I guess Helldivers is a first party game in a sense. But you get what I'm saying. Like, this generation, Sony is really focused on their first party and partnerships in general being multiplayer based games. Is this going to limit the ability to really use all of the features of the PS5 Pro if you're playing with people that have the base and or digital versions of the PS5? Because at that point, it wouldn't really be any point in getting the PS5 Pro unless they're going to showcase and prove they're going to be putting out more first party story based things, or have more, what's the word I'm looking for, more partnerships and connections with studios that, even if it's not a first party thing, they're going to like exclusively put it out on the PS5 and develop it for the PS5 Pro. And then again, another question is, are there going to be PS5 Pro upgrades to games the same way that there were PS5 upgrades from PS4 games? Just things to think about, you know. Or it could just be a regular update for an existing PS5 version of a game that you can go into the settings and truly utilize the features of the PS5 Pro. I don't know, let me know what you think down in the comments below. I kind of know what the general public is thinking right now. Everyone's hating on it. They don't like that you have to buy a separate stand. They don't like that you have to buy a separate disc drive. And the base default toe of the PS5 Pro is a digital console, which I'm personally okay with because I have two PS5s already. One for my wife, one for me. Mine is the digital and my wife's is the PS5 with the disc. And I guess the other thing that I am also curious about is, are we able to use the SSDs that was inside of our base PS5s inside of this? I think this is shipping with a 2 terabyte hard drive, which is great. That's phenomenal. I also already have a 4 terabyte hard drive inside, a 4 terabyte SSD, and the PS5 Pro comes with a 2 terabyte SSD, and I have a 4 terabyte SSD that I purchased that's inside of my base PS5. Am I going to be able to use that in this out the box day one and not have any, I guess, issues? There's a couple of things that I was hoping that they would showcase in this technical presentation. I don't think there's anything else. I actually like this. So, you know, hopefully you guys don't disagree with me too much that you dislike my video. Instead, let's have a conversation about it. I would appreciate a conversation. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below. Catch you in the next one. Stay safe out there.
I never felt like I never felt like